Chapter 19. Ultimate Heaven-Slashing Sword Skill. 3 martial sages appeared one after another and broke into the Forbidden City to kill Emperor Yuan. The entire imperial capital was shaken by their arrival. There wasn't anyone who doubted the identities of these martial sages, it was obvious to everyone. At this moment, inside the Forbidden City in the imperial capital, the aura of martial sages spread their majesty all over the city. The scene was similar to the duel at the top of the Forbidden City between 2 martial sages more than 10 years ago. There were 3 invading martial sages, plus 2 from the royal family. 5 martial sages were present in the scene. Yesterday, there was only a single known martial sage in the world. It was the one in the Forbidden City, nameless. The other forces with martial sages chose to hide them as trump cards. However, the vassal lords were angered by Emperor Yuan's actions. They chose to reveal the martial sages in their camps. For hundreds of years since the Yuha God dynasty was founded, there had never been a move to remove the vassal lords. Emperor Yuan's insistence on removing the vassal lords was a pioneering feat. Therefore, the 9 vassal lords didn't choose to hide their trump cards anymore. They directly exposed them all. Didn't the emperor want to eliminate them? Wasn't he relying on the fact that he had his own martial sage? Didn't he want to rid the empire of its problems? Then, they shall come to the Forbidden City and kill him. It was only after they had done this would they reconcile with the Yuha God dynasty. By that time, the next emperor of the Yuha God dynasty would definitely give up any thought of revenge for Emperor Yuan, and he would also choose to reconcile with them. Remove the vassal lords. He was just dreaming. This was just how confident the 9 vassal lords were. 3 martial sages appeared one after another, the first 2 were blocked by Nameless and the old emperor. The third person stood on the top of the Forbidden City, the spot where the Among Flowers sect's patriarch had died. He hurled a javelin at a rapid speed toward Emperor Yuan, causing a terrible and harsh eagle-like shriek as it pierced through the air. This martial sage from King Tianying's camp looked at this scene coldly, waiting for the javelin to pierce through Emperor Yuan's body. But what happened in the next was far beyond his expectations. With a cracking sound, the javelin broke. It wasn't broken by a third party. Because in the cold palace, Lin Jufeng was still looking at this with a surprised expression. As soon as this martial sage's aura broke out, he noticed it from the cold palace. From a few hundred miles away, he was watching this scene calmly, still not planning to make a move because Nameless was in the palace. When the second martial sage appeared, Lin Jufeng only raised his brows but he still didn't move. Because the old emperor of the Yuha God dynasty, who was also Lin Jufeng's grandfather, had made his move. So, there wasn't a need for him to act. But when the third appeared, Lin Jufeng couldn't sit still anymore. He couldn't possibly sit still as Emperor Yuan was being killed. But before Lin Jufeng could act, Emperor Yuan roared angrily. Facing the assassination, he directly erupted. Boom, boom, boom. An aura that shook the sky filled Emperor Yuan's body. He tore off his disguise, the disguise of being in the Grandmaster realm, for his true cultivation base was that of the Great Grandmaster realm. Moreover, he was a great grandmaster who practiced a demonic cultivation technique. The ancient demonic book. 9 overlays. After Emperor Yuan ascended the throne, he had already been preparing for the removal of the vassal lords and had secretly read the demonic cultivation technique that his father cultivated. This demonic cultivation technique was very evil. It consumed one's life energy in exchange for power. It would do it little by little every day, and as time passed, the power that would be in one's hands would only grow even more terrifying. There was nothing that one could do to stop this process. Unless the practitioner managed to reach an incredibly high level of his cultivation technique, there was nothing that could be done to stop the demonic technique from devouring their own life energy. The last emperor didn't succeed. Emperor Yuan didn't succeed either. He gained power, but his life energy at this moment was at its final drops. This was why he was anxious to initiate the removal of the vassal lords. He wanted to solve the problem of the 9 vassal lords in the final moments of his life, so he could leave a relatively safe and stable Yuha God dynasty to his successor. He didn't want his successor to inherit a nation that was full of holes and problems. He didn't want his successor to be like him, who spent the last 10 years solving these problems without much result. Emperor Yuan activated the demonic cultivation technique and used the 9 overlays skill. At this moment, in terms of power alone, Emperor Yuan was now in the martial sage realm. He held an incredibly strong and violent might in his body. Raising his hand, he easily split the javelin in half. His body floated in the air and dense demonic energy emanated from him. A blood-red light surrounded him. His eyes turned crimson, looking extremely sinister. Forcibly elevating yourself to the martial sage realm, you are just burning your life energy and asking for death. The martial sage who threw the javelin snorted coldly from the top of the forbidden city, not placing any regard for Emperor Yuan at all. Even if they were on equal footing now, how long could Emperor Yuan continue to burn his life energy? Long enough for me to kill you. Emperor Yuan was full of killing intent. You could have chosen to be a normal emperor and enjoyed countless glory and wealth, and the ability to have as many women as you want. It's not like the 9 vassal lords will rebel against you. Why do you insist on removing the vassal lords and even burn your life energy to practice a demonic cultivation technique? The martial sage that threw the javelin felt that Emperor Yuan's brain was broken. He could have chosen to live through his life happily, being a man of great authority. Yet, he chose the most difficult path. For what purpose? At this moment, Nameless and the old emperor stopped what they were doing. Ko Tiant and the shadow assassin also stopped and looked at Emperor Yuan. They also wanted to know why. Although the 9 vassal lords were kings in their own territories, and they didn't listen to the emperor's commands, they didn't actually rebel against him. So, why did Emperor Yuan insist on removing the vassal lords? In the eyes of the vassal lords, it was Emperor Yuan's own fault causing such a large fuss out of this matter. What's more, Emperor Yuan even burnt his life energy just for this matter. Why? The fire of hope in Emperor Yuan's eyes burned fiercely. He was also asking himself this question. If he chose to live his life like what the martial sage had said, he could have lived his life in comfort. Be a bad emperor, be a mediocre emperor, be a licentious emperor. Or maybe even as a carpenter emperor. There were so many directions for him to choose from, but why did he choose to try and save this falling nation? How tiring this was. How tough this was. To even sacrifice his own life for this. In the cold palace, Lin Jufeng looked at Emperor Yuan with a complicated expression on his face. This younger brother of his who had always called him Big Brother, had actually secretly practiced a demonic cultivation technique. Now, he was burning his life energy in exchange for power. Lin Jufeng knew that this younger brother of his was an idealist and a doer. His motive was very simple, but removing the vassal lords was only the first step. His true motive was to solve the problems of the nation and make it great again. Because I am the emperor of the Yuha God dynasty, the majesty of the billions of people in the world, the supreme ruler, I naturally have the responsibility to seek the welfare of the people of the world, and you guys are one of the root causes that hinder me from all of these. He was the emperor. So he must remove the vassal lords. There was no other reason. Boom. When Emperor Yuan's voice landed, an extremely terrifying blade light suddenly appeared in the air from more than 100 meters away. It slashed towards Emperor Yuan, wanting to kill him. Since you want to remove the vassal lords, then go and die. Indifferent words filled with killing intent sounded beneath the moonlight, and the 4th martial sage appeared. Emperor Yuan was about to fight back. He had the power to fight back. But in the very next moment, a series of terrifying auras appeared to suppress him. Boom, 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 boom. 5 terrifying auras appeared, representing 5 martial sages. They suppressed Emperor Yuan at the same time. Emperor Yuan spurted blood, unable to move. That huge blade light covering the sky and the earth was about to cut him in half. Nameless and the old emperor hurriedly moved to intervene. But Ko Tiant and the shadow assassin stood in their way. Emperor Yuan's life was at stake. The entire forbidden city was shocked, countless people looked at this scene in despair. 9 martial sage acted together just to kill Emperor Yuan. Who could save Emperor Yuan now? The suppressed Emperor Yuan's demonic energy slowly dissipated. In the end, he still failed. Am I going to die? Emperor Yuan watched the blade light fall, whispering calmly. When he cultivated with the demonic cultivation technique, he was already prepared to die. But to die in such a place, at such a moment. He was just a bit unresigned. Big brother. In the end, I still didn't succeed in doing something that can change the world. At the last moments of his life, the person that Emperor Yuan thought of was his biological elder brother who was born from the same mother as him. Lin Jufeng. In the cold palace, Lin Jufeng was currently holding the demon-slaying sword in his hand. His face was cold and his heart burned in fury. His hand rubbed the demon-slaying sword. For more than 10 years, he had never seriously and completely executed the ultimate heaven-slashing sword skill. Because he had no enemy. But now, he had. So, he slashed out with his sword. An extremely splendid and resplendent sword energy appeared like a descending light, surging for hundreds of miles. Boom. At this moment, the sky turned bright. Lin Jufeng split the world apart and wiped out the night with a single sword. It was as if a huge firework was blooming over the entire Forbidden City, instantly turning night into day. Everyone's face could be seen clearly. Faces that were full of surprise, astonishment, and disbelief. Just when they were about to kill Emperor Yuan, a sword energy flew over from hundreds of miles away. A sword that brought with it a piercing coldness to the world. At this moment, the night turned into daylight, summer turned into winter, and the biting sword energy became akin to a cold wind that blew over, making everyone feel the cold. This sword was too strong. In the imperial capital of the Yuha God dynasty, there's actually another martial sage. Ko Tiand was surprised. He was fighting with Nameless and he couldn't help but tremble when he saw this sword energy. He couldn't control his body at all, he could only tremble. This sword aura was just too powerful and terrifying. So what if there's another martial sage? He's thinking too much if he thinks he can save Emperor Yuan. The martial sage who attacked with the blade stood forward, feeling very strong and confident. He didn't back down, insisting on killing Emperor Yuan. Only by killing Emperor Yuan could he win the bet. He was fixated on obtaining the token of the Holy Master of the demonic sects. Big brother. Emperor Yuan's body was very weak right now, and he thought that he would definitely die. But this sword energy gave him hope to live. It was his big brother who came to his rescue. You are unable to kill me. Emperor Yuan smiled weakly. His faith in his big brother was resolute and everlasting. Die. The blade light shocked the world, and it directly cut down. Over the Forbidden City, the violent and mighty pressure of this attack directly shattered the surrounding buildings, causing a catastrophic mess. He wanted to kill Emperor Yuan. The scene was too shocking. The martial art masters in the imperial capital looked at this from a distance, all of them felt extremely nervous. They were unable to intervene in a battle of such a level, just the residual energies from the martial sages, collisions were enough to obliterate them to pieces. Emperor Yuan is going to be beheaded. Suddenly, someone exclaimed with his pupils dilated. Everyone saw that the violent blade light was already slashing down. Some people who couldn't bear to see the beheading of the emperor couldn't help but close their eyes. Emperor Yuan was a good emperor. He saved the dying Yuha God dynasty. Although the Yuha God dynasty wasn't fully healed yet, everyone saw the benefits that Emperor Yuan had brought to the nation. Many people didn't want him to die. Clang. At this moment, a divine sword that seemed to have been sealed in dust for thousands of years was unsheathed. The crisp sound it brought echoed in the ears of everyone in the imperial capital. Some people hurriedly looked at the sword energy and exclaimed in surprise. The sword energy is here. It looks like Emperor Yuan is going to make it. Painted in everyone's eyes was a shocking scene. A sword energy came out from a place hundreds of miles away and almost instantly, it reached the Forbidden City. Then, the enemies became akin to falling flowers. One after another, they fell onto the ground. They were like beautiful leaves that were cut down as they lost their lives. At this moment, the 9 martial sages were akin to yellowed dead leaves. Lin Jufeng executed his ultimate heaven-slashing sword skill. As the sword energy reached its destination, it performed a carpet-style sweeping, killing its targets regardless of anything else. The entire imperial capital shivered under Lin Jufeng's sword light. Standing on the top of the Forbidden City, the ancestor of King Tianying was captivated by this sword energy. In his eyes, this sword aura was just too beautiful. Inside this sword energy was a picturesque world with beautiful cherry blossoms flying through the sky. The blossoms gradually charmed his eyes. He didn't have any thoughts of resisting at all. As this sword energy flew past in front of his eyes, his head also flew up, following the pace of this sword energy. It was all for him to see the beauty of this sword energy for one final second. He wasn't the only martial sage above the Forbidden City that felt like this. The Meat Mountain, Ko Tian, saw the pinnacle of the martial path in this sword energy. What could be considered to be the pinnacle? The person, whom this sword energy belonged to, was the pinnacle. Lin Jufeng. He vaguely saw Lin Jufeng under the cold moonlight, like a celestial in white clothes. But there was too much fog around him, so he couldn't take a clear look at Lin Jufeng's face. To see more clearly, he took the initiative and approached this sword energy. Then, he saw Lin Jufeng's back. So tall and mighty. The heads of the 9 martial sages were cut off by this single sword energy. None of them managed to resist. Under Lin Jufeng's sword energy, it was like they were committing suicide. All of them died under the mighty power of the ultimate heaven-slashing sword skill. They didn't have the willpower that Lin Jufeng possessed, as they were immediately charmed by the sword energy of the ultimate heaven-slashing sword skill. They were not wrong for dying to it. The people in the Forbidden City and those in the imperial capital couldn't believe their eyes. Emperor Yuan was dumbfounded. What appeared in his mind was the figure of his handsome big brother. The old emperor opened his mouth wide. His face was splashed with Ko Tian's blood, but he didn't care about it anymore. In his eyes, there was only the sword energy that appeared just now. Amazing. Superb. Beautiful. Terrifying. In the imperial capital, there's actually such a terrifying cultivator. The old emperor was trembling all over. He was filled with excitement. He could finally see hope that the Yuha god dynasty could be saved. Nameless looked at this scene calmly. He was an existence similar to a wooden man. He didn't have any other expression at all. Teacher. It's definitely teacher. Lin Tianyuan, who was protected by Emperor Yuan, muttered excitedly. In the entire imperial capital, Lin Tianyuan believed in his heart that only teacher had such a terrifying sword technique. At this moment, the entire imperial capital went silent for a few seconds. Then, endless cheers and shouts of excitement erupted. Everyone was excited. Beheading the 9 martial sages with one sword energy. What kind of godly swordsmanship was this? What kind of godly cultivator was this? This night, the Forbidden City was completely in chaos, and everyone fell into a revel. Martial Sage. The realm that countless cultivators dreamed to reach. A single martial sage was enough to suppress an entire country. And tonight, 12 martial sages appeared in the Forbidden City. Excluding Emperor Yuan, who reached this realm through force, there were still 11 of them. 9 martial sages wanted to kill Emperor Yuan, and the 2 martial sages from the Forbidden City could hardly resist them. But at the crucial moment, a hidden senior in the imperial capital killed the 9 martial sages with a single sword energy. The development that happened was similar to those stories depicted in the manuscripts of legends. The common people talked about this matter with fervent excitement. The martial arts expert who could slay 9 martial sages with a single sword energy was the guardian of their Yuha god dynasty, standing on the side of the royal family. For the common people, this was the happiest thing in the world. Therefore, they started to party. The men, women, old people, and the children, they all cheered. The imperial capital cheered, but the Forbidden City was in sorrow. Lin Jufeng killed the 9 martial sages with a single sword attack, which was indeed very powerful and inspiring. But after Emperor Yuan was rescued, they found that he had already reached the limit of his life. Large amounts of life energy had already been devoured from his body just from cultivating the demonic cultivation technique, but if one added the life energies that he had burned to forcibly reach the martial sage's realm just now. It was an understatement to say that Emperor Yuan's life energy was now at his final dredge. Even though the old emperor kept transfusing true qi into Emperor Yuan's body, this didn't stop Emperor Yuan's body from becoming old and weak. However, Emperor Yuan wasn't sad. Under the gaze of all the court officials from the imperial court, he opened his eyes and said weakly, "I am running out of time. I have been on the throne for more than 10 years and I consider myself diligent in my work. The court officials have changed batch after batch and I have gotten rid of the useless and corrupt. I believe that all of you will fully assist the next emperor to reform the dynasty and bring benefits to the common people." The civil and military officials, headed by the cabinet chief, couldn't help but sob as they looked sadly at Emperor Yuan. Emperor Yuan was a good emperor. "All of you leave this place, I want to give my orders for some important matters." Emperor Yuan waved his hand and dismissed everyone else aside from Lin Tianyuan, including the old emperor. The old emperor sighed sadly. Both his sons and grandsons died young. But rather than saying that they died in the hands of others, it was more accurate to say that they died in the hands of that ancient demonic book. All court officials retreated. But the queen didn't. She was Emperor Yuan's arranged wife that had been decided for him when both of them were still in the wombs of their mothers. At this moment, she knelt on the ground and cried, "Your Majesty, if you want to give your orders for some important matters, you should first establish our son as the crown prince. Then, with the court officials of the imperial court to assist him, you can leave with a peace of mind." The queen wanted to ask for the throne for her son. The court officials watched in silence. "Get out and kneel outside." Emperor Yuan looked at the expectant prince and said indifferently. The prince was stunned. And so was the queen. The court officials looked at each other and knew that Emperor Yuan didn't favor this prince. They left one after another. But the queen was unwilling. How could she watch as the throne that belonged to her own son fall into the hands of others? But before she could speak, she was forcefully supported outside by an old eunuch in the palace. None of the queen's majesty was left for her after this incident. In Chaoshan Hall, Emperor Yuan's face was pale. His black hair had already turned white. His breathing was weak as he said, "Go to the cold palace and ask your teacher to come over. I wish to see my big brother." Lin Tianyuan nodded immediately and was about to go out. "No need. I'm here," Lin Jufeng sighed. He had been watching silently in the cold palace. To him, the distance of hundreds of miles could be crossed in an instant. He came to the Chaoshan Hall. Seeing the dying Emperor Yuan, Lin Jufeng felt a sudden pain in his heart. When he saw Emperor Yuan not long ago, his younger brother still looked energetic. Now, he looked to be an old man in his 70s or 80s. The crucial point was that he was only 30 years old. "Do you want to sign in before the Chaoshan Hall?" At this moment, a line of words appeared before Lin Jufeng's eyes. "Sign in." Lin Jufeng didn't expect that it was already the dawn of the next day. He wasn't in a mood for anything, so he just casually signed in. Sign in successful. Received the life resuscitation technique. Life resuscitation technique. It gave one the ability to treat the injured and delay someone's death. Lin Jufeng looked at the introduction of the resuscitation technique. His eyes lit up. He didn't expect that a casual sign-in would bring him a treasure that could save Emperor Yuan's life. Looking at Emperor Yuan's current state, however, Lin Jufeng felt that it would be lucky if he could still be saved. Lin Jufeng stepped into the Qianyuan Hall stepping and saw the pale and unrecognizable Emperor Yuan. Although Lin Jufeng had received the life resuscitation technique from signing in, he was starting to doubt whether it would be effective after he saw Emperor Yuan's current state. "Big brother." Emperor Yuan saw Lin Jufeng and he cried out excitedly. Tears flowed down his face. In the last moments of his life, the person he wanted to see most was not his wife, nor his son. It was the brother who shared the same mother as him. When Lin Jufeng was born, he was raised as the crown prince. He was knowledgeable and graceful. Emperor Yuan looked up to his own brother since he was young, treating him as his role model. When he was young, Emperor Yuan often heard his brother talk about the issues with the vassal lords, and the states becoming too powerful for the imperial capital. He didn't understand him back then. He only thought that the vassals were bad because they made his brother worry so much. But when he became the prince and finally understood the internal affairs of the Yuha god dynasty, only one thing came to his mind. Reclaim the states. He must wrestle control of the states from the 9 vassal lords. For this reason, he did not hesitate to give all that he had. Now, at the end of his life, Emperor Yuan met Lin Jufeng. Lin Jufeng was outstanding and as young as ever, like a piece of jade. And he was already old and ailing. Lin Jufeng walked to the bedside and slowly sat down. He reached out to hold Emperor Yuan's hand. "I will save you," Lin Jufeng said firmly. "Big brother, I know my own condition. In exchange for strength, I have sacrificed too much of my life energy by practicing a demonic technique. Even the gods will find it difficult to save me by now." Emperor Yuan shook his head. Lin Jufeng was speechless. He could only activate the life resuscitation technique. He spread his hands and injected true qi into Emperor Yuan's body. The emerald green light of the life resuscitation technique entered Emperor Yuan's body and immediately began to repair his body. Emperor Yuan's pale face surprisingly slowly got better. His breathing became much calmer. Emperor Yuan looked at Lin Jufeng, surprised. He grabbed Lin Jufeng's hand tightly. Lin Tianyuan watched from the side, his eyes revealing how surprised he was. "Sir, you are simply too powerful. You are actually able to save your majesty." Lin Tianyuan praised him. Emperor Yuan and Lin Jufeng were both elated. But Lin Jufeng was not as happy. He looked at Emperor Yuan with sorrowful eyes. Life resuscitation technique could not save Emperor Yuan. It could only extend Emperor Yuan's life for a particular period of time. "Your body's wheel of life had become too exhausted. My true qi and technique can only extend your life for 1 month. After that, there is nothing that I can do," Lin Jufeng said with a pained look. The requirement for the life resuscitation technique to work was life. Emperor Yuan had burned his life energy to its final vestiges, devoured by the demonic technique. He had no more life in him anymore. Lin Tianyuan's expression stiffened. "You can only extend his life for a month." Emperor Yuan remained surprised. He grabbed Lin Jufeng with both his hands and whispered, "Big brother, thank you. When I was secretly cultivating that demonic technique, I have already given up on my life. I should have died by now. It is already a great blessing that Big Brother is able to extend my life for 1 month to deal with some of the aftermath and matters of the Yuha god dynasty." Emperor Yuan was not disappointed. Instead, he was grateful. Lin Jufeng stopped injecting his true qi. Life resuscitation technique had extended Emperor Yuan's life for 1 month. Furthermore, his blood brother seemed more optimistic than him. This lessened Lin Jufeng's guilt. "Lin Tianyuan!" Emperor Yuan suddenly shouted. Lin Tianyuan jolted and immediately said, "Here." He now held the position of the Grand Commander in the Imperial Army. He gave close protection to His Majesty, ensuring Emperor Yuan's safety. He could be regarded as having rendered a great service. Emperor Yuan looked at Lin Tianyuan with a serious expression. "Kneel down in front of your uncle." Lin Tianyuan looked at Emperor Yuan, shocked. "Uncle?" He couldn't help but look toward Lin Jufeng. Yes, Lin Jufeng was his uncle. Real uncle. But he had never greeted him as his uncle. Because he was an illegitimate son, he could not enter the royal family's genealogy. Hence, he could never address Emperor Yuan as royal father. When it was just the two of them, and there was no politics involved, only family matters, he could address him, father. After he joined the court as a court official, he could only address him as Your Majesty, and regarded himself as the latter's subject. As for Lin Jufeng, he always had Lin Tianyuan address him as teacher. Lin Tianyuan had gotten used to it. He had thought it would be like this for the rest of his life. He didn't expect Emperor Yuan to allow him to address Lin Jufeng as uncle. What did that imply? Lin Tianyuan was smart, and he had figured it out. Hence, he was shocked. Extremely shocked. After that brief moment of shock, he became scared. He was afraid that Lin Jufeng would not acknowledge him. He looked at Lin Jufeng, apprehensive. Lin Jufeng looked toward Emperor Yuan. Emperor Yuan said softly, "Big brother, I have laid the foundation for the reform of the Yuha God dynasty. If my successor fools around, my efforts over the years will go down the drain and Yuha God dynasty will slip into a deep abyss. So, he is the successor that you've chosen." Lin Jufeng looked at Lin Tianyuan. Unexpectedly, this kid who couldn't even enter the royal family's genealogy was chosen as the successor by Emperor Yuan. Yes, he will continue my hope to reform the world. Emperor Yuan nodded his head. I hope Big Brother can lend him a hand at critical times. Emperor Yuan pleaded. Lin Jufeng scanned Lin Tianyuan. Lin Tianyuan was apprehensive, but he still stood up straight, letting Lin Jufeng look at him clearly as he waited for the latter's consent. Without Lin Jufeng's consent, he didn't dare to kneel down. After staying together for 10 years, Lin Tianyuan understood Lin Jufeng's character and temper. Kneel down. Lin Jufeng nodded. He had watched Lin Tianyuan grow up. He was not a bad successor to the Yuha God dynasty. He was definitely better than Emperor Yuan's other princes. Greetings to uncle. Lin Tianyuan knelt down solemnly and kowtowed. Greetings royal father. Then, he kowtowed to Emperor Yuan. And changed his form of address to him. Instead of addressing him as, Your Majesty, he changed it to, Royal Father. Good. I believe that you can realize my dream and let the billions of people in the world live a good life. Emperor Yuan revealed a smile. He felt relieved. Now that he had finally chosen his successor, he could finally be at ease. Otherwise, his struggles would have amounted to nothing. It's just a pity that I have spent all my time and had to burn my entire life to reform the Yuha God dynasty, yet I didn't even succeed in removing the vassals. Emperor Yuan appeared gloomy and helpless. Lin Tianyuan said with certainty, Royal Father, I will definitely succeed in removing the vassals. You must not be too hasty, don't follow my footsteps. Although your uncle had exterminated the 9 martial sages in one stroke, the vassals still have the support of the demonic sects. Those from the demonic sects have strange tactics, you have to stand firmly and fight them steadily. Emperor Yuan shook his head. He finally realized that he had been too hasty in his plan to remove the vassals. If there's anything you are unable to understand, go to your uncle. He will give you pointers, Emperor Yuan said to Lin Tianyuan. I understand. Lin Tianyuan nodded firmly. Lin Jufeng looked at the pair of father and son. He then said calmly, 1 month is enough time for me to remove the vassals. Big brother. Emperor Yuan looked at Lin Jufeng, surprised. He tried to stop Lin Jufeng. But Lin Jufeng stood up and said, Big brother has never given you any gift. This time, I will remove the vassals. It will be my gift to you. I will do what you wanted to achieve. Lin Jufeng said in a loud voice. Emperor Yuan looked at Lin Jufeng, touched. Uncle, the 9 vassals are backed by the demonic sects, Lin Tianyuan said softly. They are just a bunch of worthless people. Lin Jufeng's expression was indifferent. After killing the 9 martial sages in one stroke, Lin Jufeng knew that he was already at the peak amidst this recovery of the world's energies. He wouldn't say that he was invincible. But if it was just removing the 9 vassals, they would be his gift for Emperor Yuan.